Howdy everyone, it's me once again, the one and only Killer Rodan, and today I'm going to be reviewing another giant creature type movie, and that will be King Kong Escapes. This is going to be a review for the American version, of course. So anyway, just so everyone will know, of course, and yeah, of course, as usual, I do have to talk about the plot. So let's get into it, shall we? Yes, sirree. Of course, King Kong himself is going to be involved in the story somehow. Because, well, he's on the title after all of the film. And of course, he's going to do what he has to do because he's a wild animal, obviously. However, there's this evil genius, and he's not some evil genius. He wants to create a robotic King Kong himself. But of course, he's not very nice to our main characters, obviously. And he does eventually create this Kong-like robotic creature kind of a thing. And I guess you can say he wants to do what he wants to because he's an asshole, so to speak. And he does begin to dig for the highly reactive element X, and that's found on the North Pole. And let's just say he would stop on nothing what he wants, of course. We get to see this woman, of course, she's also part of this little team, I guess you can say. And she will become an important part of the overall story here. We all know because, the other movie did it. So, many elements have been traced with her because of that. So, in some way, she's there to play like a tribute to that scenes like that, I guess. That element has been steered here in it, folks, obviously. Of course, these human characters are obviously on Kong's side. They actually want to help him out. I guess you can say they're the good human characters, unlike the evil genius, of course, whom, like I mentioned before, had made this Mega Kong. I suppose you can call him that. So, basically, what's going on here that Kong himself is brought in by this evil ruler to dig for precious gems, of course, in a mine when the robot Megacon is unable to do the task, so to speak. Obviously, of course, there's things that do happen in this film. I'm not going to spoil anything really, but I guess you can say that the robotic replica of King Kong is unable to dig for the highly reactive element X at the North Pole. The evil doctor, the evil genius, I should say, wants to pretty much use the real Kong to do his bidding, I guess you can say. And of course, this kind of thing lead to some crazy ass fighting, I suppose, folks. And I'm guessing the villain here is supposed to be some sort of dictator. Kind of has the mentality, it's my way or the highway kind of thing. So this is his weapon, and he wants to use it however he wants, of course. And because he's the bad guy, of course, we get to see Kong himself fight off other creatures throughout the feature, of course, obviously. And yeah, that's basically the premise of this film. It's, I guess you can say, it's a type of an adventurous type of a movie, which is fine, I guess you can say. It's colorful in a lot of ways. This was the second and last time that the Toho company had used the character of King Kong in one of their features, which makes things rather interesting, I guess you would say. First time was, of course, with King Kong vs. Godzilla, which made a truck ton of money in Japan, and so did this one, folks. This was a major hit for the studio, so I guess that's pretty damn cool right there. As a way to make this feature, the Toho Company production had actually teamed up with the company that made the King Kong animated series, which honestly was pretty bad. It was really shitty. But I can say that I did enjoy this a lot more than that, even though it kind of comes off like a live action version of that. So whatever, I guess. This looks really bad. Ugh, so stupid. It was really goofy. I know this was intended for kids, but holy hell. This looks pretty damn dumb. Yeah, I can just laugh at this for quite a while because it looks so goofy. And that really does not come off like King Kong at all because it comes off way more friendlier than compared to the movies. I can tell you that right now. So what the hell? Ugh, it looks so stupid. Well, I'm glad that it wasn't like that in the movie, really. So I guess I can take that as a good thing, I suppose. So I take that as a plus. Speaking of that show, I do believe that this film is supposed to be like a live action tie-in to that animated series that was produced for a while. So I guess they were trying to make it seem some sort of connection, but you don't really need to watch that show to understand what's going on in the movie, I guess. So yeah, just to be clear, this film is not a sequel to Godzilla's King Kong. It's not connected to that at all. So if anything, when it comes to the giant monster type movies, this is supposed to be a standalone kind of a thing. So it's not really connected to any other kaiju movie, giant monster feature, I guess you would say. So it's definitely supposed to be its own thing. And yeah, you might be think it might be connected to the other stuff, given the fact that he fought Godzilla before, but nope, it's not connected at all. Kong Escapes was released in Japan on July 22nd of 1967 and was released in the United States on June 19th of 1968. The company who made this film had wanted to use the character quite a few times in their features, but for whatever reason, it's usually due to the copyright law, I guess you can say, especially overseas. And it just became like a complicated mess, so the company couldn't, use this character as often as they wanted, like they would have otherwise done it, I guess you can say. I would wonder if they were allowed to, how many movies of these they would have ended up making, I guess. But it would have been pretty interesting, I suppose. The whole company had actually wanted to use King Kong again after this film to be included in an early draft script for the 1968 film Destroy All Monsters. But unfortunately, ultimately, that idea was dropped to the fact that Toei's license for the character was set to expire. So I guess you would say it was a pretty solid film as a whole, I guess you would say. And I did enjoy it. However, it may not be my favorite kaiju film at all, but it is a solid feature. There's plenty of action to be had. I did like the fight scenes. The fight scenes were pretty cool. And I really thought they were really well choreographed, despite the fact that this film was basically a cheaply made film. Yeah, the production value isn't very high, like, at all. So in some ways you can tell, I guess. But I didn't mind it really. I do miss this old-fashioned type of filmmaking, really, because of the fact that this kind of filmmaking isn't done like this anymore. It really isn't. And if this film was done today, it would done all in CGI. I mean, practically everything would be done in CGI. And yeah, these days it's overdone. Oh boy, really, really overdone with CGI these days. Yeah, that's my little jab to this movie. Ugh, overrated, I will tell you that. Anywho, I'll say check this movie out, folks. It has been released on DVD and Blu-ray. You can check those out, folks. Yeah, this film was released multiple times over the years. It's not that bad of a flick, really, folks. It's fairly straightforward, with a pretty simple storyline, and I did like the creature effects, and the destruction scenes were actually well done as well. Kong Escapes gets an overall rating of a 7.0 out of 10. You could say 7.0 out of 10 for me. And as always, thanks for watching, and take care. Until next time, oh yeah.